On screen, Tom Cruise can hang from planes and climb skyscrapers. But one of his most unforgettable real-life moments didn't involve a stunt. It involved a car door that wouldn't open. At the 2006 Paris premiere of Mission: Impossible 3, Cruise pulled up in a brand new Bugatti Veyron, a car worth over $1 million. Cameras flashed as he tried to open the door for his then-wife, Katie Holmes, but the latch jammed. He pulled again, still stuck. The star of the world's biggest action franchise had just been defeated by a car door, and the moment went viral. Rumors soon spread that Bugatti was so embarrassed, they blacklisted him from ever buying their cars again. Yet that single mishap only adds to the legend of his collection. From the hypercar that sparked controversy to classic icons that co-starred in Oscar-winning films, Tom Cruise owns an incredible garage worth an estimated $395 million. Today, we're counting down his top 10 cars, leading up to the most exclusive and expensive machine he's ever owned. Number 10. The 1976 Dodge Colt. Before the private jets and the million-dollar supercars, Tom Cruise had this, a humble little car that barely turned heads. His very first ride was a 1976 Dodge Colt, powered by a tiny 1.6-liter engine and a 4-speed manual transmission. It was slow, painfully slow, but for 18-year-old Tom, it wasn't about horsepower. It was about chasing a dream. He bought it for just $400 from a neighbor in New Jersey. That car carried him from his hometown straight into New York City, where he parked it outside casting offices before walking in to audition for roles that could change his life. The Colt wasn't even pure American muscle. It was a rebadged Mitsubishi Galant, part of a quiet Chrysler-Mitsubishi partnership. To most, it was forgettable, but to Tom, it was everything. Decades later, he still owns that same car. Restored with period-correct white wall tires, it sits proudly in his collection. Not because it's fast or rare, but because it reminds him where it all began. Once worth just $400, today it's valued at around $25,000, a priceless reminder that every legend starts with a humble beginning. 9. The 1983 BMW 318 IE30. If the Dodge Colt was about survival, this car was about passion. A clean alpine white BMW, simple cloth interior, 5-speed manual gearbox, and nothing more. No extra options, no unnecessary luxuries, just pure driving. Tom Cruise bought it in 1982 while filming Taps, right before his career exploded. In the 1980s, the E30 wasn't just a car, it was the car. A symbol of ambition for young professionals chasing success. Decades later, Cruise still treats it with the same respect. Every service receipt, carefully kept. Oil changes every 3,000 miles. And here's the part that says everything. He does it himself. The value of these cars has soared from $8,000 to as much as $40,000 today. But for Cruise, it's not about the money. He calls it therapy. The moment you press the clutch, rev the engine, and shift gears, he says, the world shrinks to the size of the windshield. No turbo, no massive horsepower, just balance. A perfect 50-50 weight distribution. It's not about speed, it's about feeling every moment. And that's why Tom Cruise still loves his E30. 8. The 2010 Saleen Mustang S281. Before the world saw him struggle with the door of his Bugatti, Tom Cruise was pulling up to red carpets in something far more American. A muscle car with attitude. The Saleen Mustang S281. A 4.6-liter V8, supercharged, pumping out 330 horsepower. His version, painted in custom charcoal, sitting low on matching wheels. A car that looked as aggressive as it sounded. Only 161 of these supercharged convertibles were ever built. Tom's is number 17. And for the Mission Impossible 3 premiere in New York, he made sure the world noticed. He had his bright orange S281 flown overnight from Los Angeles, just to arrive in style. Some versions of the S281 pushed over 500 horsepower, hitting 60 miles per hour in just 3.8 seconds. But for Cruise, it wasn't just about numbers. He once said the Mustang drew more attention than his Bugatti. Why? Because everyone knows a Mustang, Everyone recognizes the growl, the stripes, the symbol of American muscle. Today, his Saleen Mustang is worth around $60,000, but in the spotlight, with flashbulbs firing, it looked priceless. 7. The Nissan 300ZX race car. For Tom Cruise, speed has never been just a movie stunt. It's an addiction. In the early 2000s, he strapped himself into a matte gray Nissan 300ZX, painted with Top Gun designs, and took it to the SCCA Regional Series. This wasn't a street car. It was a machine built to win. 420 horsepower from a modified 3.0-liter V6, tuned with Nismo anti-roll bars, Tauchico springs, and every racing upgrade you could imagine. Cruise didn't come to watch. He came to race. Paul Newman himself, Hollywood legend and seasoned racer, was the one who pushed him into the world of motorsport back in the late 1980s, and Cruise took it seriously. He won races. He crashed often. Rivals said his attitude was simple: go fast, all the time. By 2022, that 300ZX was ready for a new chapter. Cruise put it up for auction, where it sold for $87,000, with all proceeds going to charity. But before handing over the keys, he couldn't resist one last drive. At Willow Springs Raceway, he fired up the engine, pushed it hard for a final lap, and then came the radio call. Chilling, unforgettable. Ghost Rider requesting flyby. 6. The 1958 Chevrolet Corvette C1. Before the hypercars, before the million-dollar garage, there was this, a Corvette, the very first car Tom Cruise ever bought for himself. He spotted it on the set of his first leading role, losing it. And with his entire paycheck, $3,591, he bought it. Every cent gone, for a car that would become the cornerstone of his collection. The Corvette C1 was powered by a 230 horsepower V8. In 1958, it didn't sell well, but history had other plans. Today, it's considered one of the most iconic Corvettes ever built. Cruise didn't just preserve it, he transformed it. His car now runs a modern 6.2-liter LS3 engine, pushing 430 horsepower, almost double its original power. With updated parts and engineering, it can hold its own against modern sports cars. The 1958 model was special. Dual headlights for the first time, a redesigned interior, and styling that screamed American rebellion. Today, pristine examples like Cruise's are worth between $85,000 and $118,000. But for him, it's more than value. He once said driving it feels like sitting on a bucket between two torpedoes with a rock and roll soundtrack, a blast from the past, rebuilt for the present. 5. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6. If there's one car that defines raw American muscle, this is it. Cranberry red, black racing stripes, and an engine so powerful it scared the competition. From the factory, it was rated at 450 horsepower, but insiders from the time whispered the truth, closer to 500. No turbos, no electronics, no computers. Just steel, gas, and pure violence under the hood. Cruise stumbled upon it in the late 1990s while filming Eyes Wide Shut. It wasn't planned. He walked into a showroom, saw the Chevelle, and in a moment of pure impulse, wrote a check for $179,900. No questions, no negotiations, just instinct. Since then, he's barely touched it, adding only 400 miles to the odometer. To him, it's not just a car, it's a time machine. A trip back to 1970 when traction control didn't exist and survival depended on how well you could handle the beast. This Chevelle even made it to the big screen. In Jack Reacher, Cruise himself got behind the wheel for one of the greatest car chases ever filmed. No CGI, no stunt doubles, just Tom Cruise, a Chevelle SS, and raw, unfiltered chaos. 4. The 1949 Buick Roadmaster. This isn't about speed, it's about history, about a car that became as much a star as the actors who drove it. The 1949 Buick Roadmaster convertible, forever linked to Rain Man, Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman, an Oscar-winning film that defined a generation. And right there with them, this car. Cruise insisted on using a real Roadmaster during filming. No replicas, no shortcuts. He wanted the weight of its steel, the rumble of its 5.2-liter straight-8 engine, the authenticity of the real thing. Director Barry Levinson agreed, so much so he gave the car third billing in the credits. When the cameras stopped rolling, Cruise couldn't let it go. He paid $250,000 to make it his. Not cheap, but compared to a Bugatti, it was nothing. What mattered was the bond, the memories, the piece of cinematic history that only he could keep. The Roadmaster had its own innovations for its time, venti ports to cool the engine, and the first pillarless hardtop design. But for Cruise, it wasn't about features, it was about legacy, a rolling reminder of one of his greatest roles, and one of Hollywood's greatest films. 3. The 1996 Porsche 911 Turbo S. The movie was done. Mission Impossible had just wrapped. While the rest of the crew celebrated at the wrap party, Tom Cruise did something different. He walked into a Porsche dealership, and he ordered this. A 1996 911 Turbo S, the legendary 993. The last of the air-cooled 911s, the final chapter of Porsche's original bloodline. A car that bridged history with performance. Cruise had always admired the brand. In Risky Business, he even said the line that became iconic, Porsche, there is no substitute. And for him, it wasn't just a script, it was a truth. His car is Guards Red, with bold yellow seats and a 6-speed manual gearbox. Under the hood, 424 horsepower, pure and unfiltered. Cruise has said he will never sell it because driving this Porsche isn't about ownership. It's about passion. It's about feeling connected to something timeless. The 993 itself was almost a complete redesign, crafted by Tony Hatter, sleeker, sharper, more refined. And today, its value has tripled, soaring to around $450,000. For Tom Cruise, though, it's priceless, because every time he drives it, he's reminded, there really is no substitute. 2. The 2005 Bugatti Veyron. This is the car that made headlines, not for its speed, but for a moment on the red carpet. The infamous door handle incident, the night Tom Cruise stepped out of his $1.9 million hypercar and couldn't get out. But behind the laugh is a legend. The Bugatti Veyron wasn't just a car, it was an engineering revolution. Only 450 were ever built. Tom's version? A bare carbon fiber finish with a deep cognac interior, blending luxury with brute force. Underneath, it's a monster. An 8-liter, 16-cylinder engine, 4 turbochargers, 1,001 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, a top speed of 253 miles per hour. At the time, nothing else in the world could touch it. Cruise keeps his Veyron in a climate-controlled facility in Florida, treated more like an artifact than a toy. He's never raced it, never pushed it past 200 miles per hour, but he doesn't need to. As he once said, it's the closest thing to an F-14 on 4 wheels. A nod to Top Gun, and a machine worthy of a fighter pilot. When it was new, it cost $1.9 million. Today, with its story, with its history, it's worth over $2.5 million. And yes, the door latch has since been fixed. 1. The Brabus SLK 65 Black Series. This isn't just rare, it's practically mythical. Only 5 of these cars were ever made, and Tom Cruise owns the only right-hand drive version left in existence. Under the hood is a hand-built 6.0-liter V8 engine, tuned by Brabus to unleash 800 horsepower and a staggering 811 pound-feet of torque. That's so much power, it can spin the tires even at 100 miles per hour. This isn't just a car, it's a weapon on wheels. Cruise bought it while living in Australia. From there, it traveled with him, first to London, then across the ocean to Los Angeles. But its story doesn't end there. One of the original 5 was wrecked in Dubai, making Cruise's Black Series even rarer. Now only 4 remain. Collectors have tried to tempt him. One even offered $2 million in cash on the spot. Cruise only smiled and said, "I've already got a stunt double." A line that proves he knows exactly how special this car is and why it will never leave his collection. The Brabus SLK65 Black Series isn't just another car in the garage. It's the crown jewel, a one-of-a-kind machine with a story only Tom Cruise could write.